Good morning, good afternoon, and a very good evening to our global innovators and innovation enthusiasts who are watching Finovity 2021. Friends, welcome to Finovity 2021. Amongst all the downsides that the pandemic has brought down to this interesting world, one of the best thing is the world is become much more smaller, much more closer. I recall the days in March when there was a lockdown and suddenly everything was in a standstill, when we innovated ourselves to say that the world is one single family and all of us can very easily engage with each other, enroll with each other, and leapfrog all the distances by using video conferencing, virtual events and virtual activities. And today what you are seeing is a great example of this, and I am really glad that there are innumerable virtual conferences happening and people are also enjoying it. Of course, we do surely miss that physical touch, the physical engagement that we have during the conferences and seminars that we organize. Friends, once again it is time to Finovity 2021, a great occasion, a great carnival for innovators like you to share your nominations and innovations with the world and understand how the world is innovating, how the world is relooking at things, how the world is reimagining itself. And friends, that is today the reason of organizing Finovity 2021 with this wonderful theme called as What's Next? Next in financial services is the biggest factor. We don't need to discuss what we have gone through because we have really gone through a lot, but the beauty is we have learned from them. We have failed, but we stood back, we were resilient, and we have come up with a lot of path-breaking innovations which have helped people to really look into the opportunities of the future. I remember there are a lot of insurance companies which empowered people to get consultations from their doctors at home during these pandemic times using their apps. What an innovation. There were a lot of interesting farmer and agri-tech apps that came in for farmers to source what is required for them straight from the various suppliers for their fertilizers, for their requirements of farming, and also to get the best price using their apps. And all this powered by payment systems and by the banks. Agri-tech has been growing. We saw a lot of interesting innovations in the payments alone when contactless payments became the need of the hour during the pandemic times. What a set of innovation it was. And lending has been the biggest driver. The beauty is, I remember long ago while doing a conference with the CEOs of the banking sector, when they were speaking about, unfortunately, we are also handicapped and we can only lend to those people who have a history of credit, who have a history or track record of their financial details. In spite of us knowing that those people are really needy, they are really the people who need finance and they have the capability, intent and the best possibilities to pay even compared to some of the biggest industrial houses or industrialists or fraudsters who may not be able to pay in time and create NPAs. Friends, these lending systems, these credit scoring, this online business intelligence and analytics and the online KYC has helped the industry to leapfrog a lot. The fintechs, which were considered by the financial services as the biggest competitor, has re-emerged as a friend, as a complementing partner to many of these financial services organizations, and they have very beautifully combined this domain expertise of theirs along with the technology expertise of the fintechs to give the world a whole new realm of possibilities. AI has redefined the world of customer experience, of risk management, of compliance, of operations. And what a revolution has this created. It's amazing to see how AI has redefined this world. The payment industry has also leapfrogged from the basic difficulty of onboarding customers into the digital payment systems to what it is today. Today, everyone, thanks to the wallets, thanks to the digital payments, thanks to the QR code based payments, everyone today uses a mobile payment, digital payment, like they use their WhatsApp and their Skype for communication. And all this has been facilitated by our Mr. Pandemic, who has really put behind a lot of years which was otherwise required for people to learn and transform and get that mindset itself. We are in some of the most exciting times. However, though we know that the pandemic has set the entire industry back by few years in terms of growth, but the next growth that is going to come is going to be super fast. Are we ready for it? That is something that we need to look at. When we look at this growth that is going to leapfrog at our future, we need to really plan. We need to plan our infrastructure. We need to plan our applications. But before all that, we need to put our business strategy together. You cannot put the cart before the horse. Put your infrastructure, put your business objective first. Think about where the world is growing. I remember in the 90s when I entered into the IT industry, the segment used to look at what is happening at the US and the European market or in the Western markets or in Taiwan. There was a huge delegation of Indian IT business heads who would go to all these Taiwanese fairs and try to bring in some of those technologies into India. They used to see that the vision of the technology in next 3 years is going to be aligned with what is happening in these markets of Western markets today. So friends, we need to bring the same vision. We need to leapfrog ourselves ahead. The payment systems, especially in India, has been quite interesting, and it has also been very, very forward looking, such that the UPI by NPCI or the payment technologies of NPCI has started marketing itself in the global markets. And last not the least, the government and the ecosystem in India today is looking at bettering this payment infrastructure and ecosystem for the Indian markets alone, with the kind of announcements that are coming in for the purpose of bringing in new umbrella payment organizations in the country. These are some of the most exciting and happening times. I know a lot of financial organizations had suddenly kept a little bit of their growth plans or their immediate high level technology investment plans at bay, or probably suspended it for some time to take it at good times. But in the last 2-3 months, we are seeing a deluge of these things coming up. People are once again open. The businesses are open to do business with the world, to buy technology, to innovate, to excite, to inspire the world with their innovation. And innovation has to be in your blood. Inculcating this interesting purpose of innovation into your blood, and to create these processes amongst every employees right from the top of the organization is a need for all of us. Friends, we have designed a very interesting session today, which is a combination of business and technology sessions aimed at bringing some of the best industry leaders from India and worldwide to you during this 4 to 5 sessions that we have today. I am honored to have Shri Krishnamurthy Subramanian as our honorable chief guest. Dr. Krishnamurthy Subramanian is our chief guest today for this occasion of Innovity 2021. He is the chief economic advisor of the Government of India. Along with him, we also have some very interesting guests today who are going to add on our panels into various topics. We will start from the panels targeting at experience for the world of next. We have a secure world of next in the future, especially considering the current situation and the kind of threats that the digital world is facing. We will also talk about how to build a resilient infrastructure in this world of next. We will also have some fantastic conversations around how to innovate in this world of next. In addition to this, we have the digital transformation that is happening in the world of next. And finally, to conclude with a superb topic where the CEOs of the industry will share with us what is shaping the world of next. Friends, it is today to dream about the next, to create an objective for the next, to take the action plan for the world of next, and to plan the action for the world of next, and create an inspiring world of next. Welcome to Finovity 2021 and the world of next. Thank you.
Hi everyone, hope you're having a great time. Do not miss to visit our exhibit area. Our exhibit area offers an attendee an easily accessible and immersive way to view and experience the latest innovation in the BFSI sector. Do visit our exhibition stall and benchmark the latest innovations. Thank you.
So good morning to all of you here. A very warm welcome to the 10th edition of Banking Frontiers Finovity 2021. When we started this journey around 10 years ago, the intent was that along with Banking Frontiers, we create a industry platform to showcase innovations in financial services. And at that time, we were not too sure on how successful the platform would be. It's extremely heartening to see that Finovity has become the industry's leading industry innovation platform, which showcases innovation that the financial services industry has been undertaking over the last 10 years or so. And we've seen this innovation come a very long way from small POCs to widespread commercialization and wide participation and recognition from the industry players itself. So a warm thank you to the Banking Frontiers team for setting up this platform to showcase innovation and track innovation in the financial services industry. So my intent over the next 15 minutes or so is to talk about how the innovation in financial services has been shaping up and what we are likely to see in the near future. So as they say that necessity is the mother of all invention, I would want to say that crisis is probably the mother of all innovation, and the industry has seen crises like never before in the last 12 months or so. Historically, there have been basically four factors of disruption which causes and pushes innovation. So first is the regulatory push itself. The second is the changing customer behavior. The third is the technology part, and the fourth is competition itself. Till now, what we were seeing is that all these four factors were sort of working in isolation and pushing the innovation curve. But the coronavirus COVID-19 crisis in the last year has sort of brought all these factors together and has caused a black swan event and an unprecedented crisis, which has really pushed the boundary of innovation over the last 12 months or so. If you look at from a regulator's perspective, we are seeing that the regulator stance has been to push the innovation curve in terms of increasing the supply of financial services, making sure that the compliance and governance standards are high, at the same time there's adequate competition in the industry. Besides, the government putting in a huge reform package, the regulators also come up with guidelines on revenue recognition, NPAs, as well as now it is now actually opened up the tap for universal banks as well. So we will see the supply of financial services sort of undergoing a lot of change, and it has sort of laid the path clear for a lot of ecosystem play as well for financial services industry. If you look at changing customer behavior, and I'll talk about that again in a bit in terms of a survey which Deloitte has done globally, where India is a part of the survey as well. But in terms of customer behavior, the digital propensity has increased phenomenally thanks to the work from home as well as the lockdowns which happened, and the digital acceptance has been the highest that we've seen in the last few years. Even as the lockdown eases, we believe that some of this behavior is going to be sort of permanent from a customer acceptance perspective, and that itself is going to give a lot of tailwind to the digital initiatives on the innovation side. In terms of technology, that has been sort of pushing the innovation curve as always. And what we've seen earlier were a few proof of concepts and more on the automation side. Now we're seeing that that has been mainstreamed in machine learning, artificial intelligence, and then bots mimicking human interfaces. So that was the human touch which was hitherto missing from innovation. Now that has sort of made a big comeback. And then hyper personalization is something which again we're seeing from a technology perspective, which has now been possible thanks to the analytical capabilities which the industry has sort of created. Uh, Last but not the least, on the competition itself, and I think that while the big banks have invested a fair bit on technology and innovation, we are seeing that the real challenge is going to come from the smaller players, the fintechs, the platform guys who are going to challenge the big players. And as a result, what we'll see is probably an ecosystem play where a lot of large players are going to do tie-ups with smaller fintechs, companies which can come up with agile customer solutions and then try and solve the broader customer problem. So what we're seeing is probably going to be a perfect storm for innovation in the next 12 months or so. And we are really hoping that some of the initial ideas which we are seeing getting green shoots at this point in time will soon become mainstream commercial products and services over the next 12 to 24 months. So speaking about the Deloitte theme is I mean, and looking at a broader economic perspective, the results for the last quarter are already out, and it seems like India has sort of come out of the recession. There has been a positive quarter-on-quarter growth for the last quarter. The government estimate is that the industry will grow at least about 11% for the this coming year, and that augurs very well for the financial services industry, right? So historically, we've seen that financial services actually grows more or less 2 to 2.5 times the GDP growth. And if we are talking about a GDP growth of about 11% or so, then for financial services, this translates it anywhere between 20 to 25%. I think more importantly, it's going to be sort of a market share game where how the financial services players leverage technology and innovative products and services to gain market share is going to be probably how the industry will sort of shape up in the next few years or so. I think that about the customer, and I think that's where there's a lot of learning for financial services. How the customer, the unmet needs are emerging over the last so at the back of the pandemic means for these players who are right now investing further in shoring up their technology and innovations, but also trying to mainstream some initiatives, right? So findings from the survey as late as January 21 is that percent of people actually don't feel safe for using and they would prefer transactions. And I think that along the lot of driven home the point that or the last mile is affected by physical, and that online transaction as well fulfillment physical channel. People are preferring face and would prefer online transaction very well, not just transaction services but advisory services as well. Highlighting some of the key facts that we have from this from a Buying perspective, we consumers are sort of postponing their ticket and the reason basically uncertainty. I really do the affordability is honest because traditionally India has always savings economy and has sort of shown resilience for me. Of them are sort of postponing their decision mainly on two count. One is few of them actually expect that actions could be slightly longer, whatever that they're wanting to purchase. The interest rates have been, they believe that postponement might actually give them sort of a better deal. So a lot of believe that certainty they would rather do the savings and focus more on rather on consumption per se. So this has got reason for some of the financial services to dip in some of the services. But as we know, with the economy, trickle effect will actually the pent up demand, the demand for finance. 50% of them, nearly 46% actually have coming payment. There's actually, a concern the NPAs assets will come under threat over the next few quarters or so. That the fact is that a lot of this have already been provided for. To a level, government itself is putting a lot of focus on the asset quality. There is a whole which will also come in. But I think the key point is that one is that a lot of provisioning has already happened, and then the government itself is looking at capitalization, right? So in that sense, I guess that the asset quality should not play a major role in bringing the demand back to the and top line and bottom line growth back to the financial services market. I think importantly, there is a change in the customer behavior where people are willing to spend more on both preventive health as well as in medicines, and which means that there will be higher demand for wellness products, for health insurance, also looking at investments and saving products which are more long term in nature, right? So this is the kind of shift which the entire investment management, wealth management, and insurance industry will sort of also take over the next few quarters or so. I think in terms of some of the key market insights, there is obviously a preference for digital channels, particularly for loan applications across product categories. Demand has been skewed more towards personal loans, obviously because in terms of the lower turnaround times, in terms of accessibility. Also, there's a larger set of players who are looking to or first time kind of financial services players are looking to get into big customers for personal loans. With the moratorium period ending, there will be a higher demand for alternate loan restructuring options, and that itself is going to give a push for a lot of financial services advisory kind of revenue streams. The preference for online transactions is increasing across the board, but particularly so for investment as well as for wealth management services. And obviously, there is a demand for less risky investment options as well. I think from a India potential perspective, I think there are a few things which are working for the financial services industry, right, and which will sort of give a lot of tailwind to the demand per se. So first, I think is that a demographic dividend is sort of going to translate into a huge demand for financial services because there's a huge pool of young people which will hit the employment cycle over the next 2 to 5 years, which means that they are going to be the first time purchasers of financial services product, be it personal loans, be it housing finance, or vehicle finance, even in few cases education loans. So that itself is to give a lot of push on the demand side of it. Also, I think that India is data dividend, and by what I mean by data dividend is that with all the digitalization efforts which have happened over the last few years, we are seeing the benefit coming to financial services now, and it will only grow in the future. And a lot of innovations that we are sort of showcasing in Finovity actually showcases on how do you use this data and convert that into customer value propositions, which customers will see economic value in participating, but also see paying a price for that in the financial services players per se. So this data dividend is coming because there is an economic profile which is being drawn for almost all types of customer segments. So the Aadhaar card, for example, of course, is giving an economic identity, but the fact that digital bill payments, for example, your mobile bills, for example, your property tax bills, for example, your GST returns, all this help in creating an economic profile for the individual, and that again helps in coming up with alternative credit risk and hence better credit assessment and sort of more access to the customers, and then a better value proposition from financial services perspective. So I think that this data dividend is going to give again a huge benefit to the Indian financial services market. And the last bit is that technology and the increase in the number of financial services players is also going to help by creating sort of a supply side push, and this will sort of result in better fulfillment for the demand which will come from the financial services side. I think that talking about some of the customer trends in the post-pandemic era, that we are seeing sort of a change in the transaction and the spending needs per se. And the discretionary spends, while they are continuing to remain low in the short term, we believe that with the turnaround in the economic growth, there could be a huge push which will come on this side, mainly because of the pent-up demand, right? The spends on air travel, for example, and which are currently low at this point in time, while they've recovered, close to 50-80% of the pre-COVID levels. I think that once the lockdown eases, there's a lot of pent-up demand will come, and mind you that a lot of the spend is now going to be only on domestic kind of destinations, which again push the domestic demand. I think that at a micro level, there is a demand for micro ATMs and MPOS machines, which are increasing, and that trend is likely to continue. Uh, the borrowing needs itself are sort of increasing, and while large scale purchases are being delayed, we believe that with the economic growth, there will be a huge pent up demand which will get released on discount as well. The concern on the saving and investors has remained high. However, I that this would necessitate a change in the way our distribution of financial services products is happening, and probably there needs to be more focus on the savings and the investment side of wealth management and investment products. The risk protection needs continue to remain high, and probably I think more so the sentiment which requires a bit of a nurturing. And the moment the sentiment changes, that we'll see again a lot of growth coming in the financial services side. So overall, I think that the anxiety index is high, and it's probably remain high at least for the next couple of quarters. Uh, the uncertainty is giving rise to a lot of watch policy for services consumers. But I think that government push, as well as the economic turnaround itself will sort of have a trickle down effect to push the financial services growth to close to twice the GDP growth over the next 12 to 18 months or so. I think that in summary, what I would want to say is that we've seen that innovations in financial services have sort of pushed the agenda in pushing uh, uh, the product and the services which are available with the customers, but more importantly, focusing on the unmet customer needs and responding to the changing customer behavior. Finovity 2021 is actually no different, and we've seen that a lot of players have used this time to invest in building capabilities, undergoing technology upgradations, and probably overhauling their traditional legacy technology models to really build something enduring. What we've also seen is that a lot of players have now gotten into a mode of co-development of IP along with a lot of fintech players, and we are seeing that fintech ecosystem has been sort of leveraged quite a bit by a lot of players. What we've seen globally again is that data protection and data privacy is gaining a lot of importance, and probably in India as well, we will see this change happening, over the next 12 to 18 months. And I think that from a Reserve Bank of India perspective, customer protection and digital literacy is something which is top of the mind. Talking about the Finovity 2021 itself, I think that we had a great participation from the industry. So close to about so we had about 48 financial institutions who submitted the applications, and in most of the cases we actually had multiple submissions by them, because a lot of them have been investing in multiple innovations over the years. So we had about 100 plus entries coming in from these financial services institutions. In terms of the breakup, we had five public sector banks participate in this Finovity, and they submitted about 22 innovations. We had 9 private sector banks participating with 22 innovations. A lot of insurance companies have actually, invested a lot in coming up with disruptive, innovative products and services. And we actually had 31 submissions coming in from the insurance companies. We had 7 NBFCs participate with 12 innovation entries. Small finance bank have also making a lot of inroads, leveraging technology and digital disruptions. We had 3 small finance banks participate and submit 7 innovation entries. 2 payments banks submitted again 7 innovation entries. This time we actually had 4 asset management companies who participated in Finovity, and each one of them have submitted 1 innovation entry. So about 4 innovation entries coming from the asset management companies. And we're also seeing 5 brokerage companies participate in Finovity by submitting about 7 entries coming in from them. So a very, very robust cross section of industry players have participated in this innovation competition. And what I do believe is that there's a lot of cross learnings which will emerge from this participations, right? So insurance companies where they've done a lot of innovations around, for example, underwriting, there could be a lot of learning which NBFCs and banking players could have as well on the retail side. Similarly, on the customer experience, where a lot of innovations of the public sector bank could actually resonate a lot with AMCs and brokerage houses on the wealth management side, for example. So we're hoping that the compendium of our innovation, which is the Finovity 2021, will probably give a lot of food for thought for pushing the innovation agenda for industry as a whole. So this entries were analyzed on multiple by our eminent jury, and we looked at the originality of the solution, in the sense that what is the unmet customer need that is wanting to sort of resolve. That idea original, or is sort of from an existing, either from within the industry, industry as well. We also looked at the solution, that is this a point solution, or is this something scaled truly across multiple products across industry as well? We also look at customer impact is having, and how does it customer agenda servicing from players perspective. Again, in terms of sustainability, that is this a one-time problem or customer need, or is this going a long-term benefit the industry and the customer as a whole? Obviously, the business that the innovation itself has made, in terms of the broad, in terms of the cost reduction, in terms in growth and those financial parameters. Looking at innovations, we sort of categorize across the various levers of innovations, and broadly seen that of the 100 plus innovations, about 30% of them were process innovations itself. So this deal how this could be improved in terms of operations, in terms of the turnaround times on leveraging robotics and AI ML analysis, and how the processes could be per se. We see about 45 innovations actually on the 10 services side. So here we've seen innovations coming, and obviously on how the services could be improved to meet the unmet customer needs. So improve the accessibility to the service standards, and wow the customers using that particular. We've seen about 18 innovations on customer experience side, on looking at end-to-end and seamless customer experience. We again saw, in terms of people innovation, about 9 innovation which using artificial intelligence to build case, to build learning, and also to train the people to respond to the pandemic and crisis. We also saw 2 innovations on the partnership side, that how could you leverage strategic partnerships to address some of the customer needs. On the financial inclusion, we've seen 5 innovations, and on marketing and branding, we've seen 4 innovations on how do you effectively create brand awareness and push the marketing initiatives of the organization. A very quick look at our eminent jury, the 12 wise men, as I call them, and none of this actually really requires an introduction. You can see the experience that they bring in, and it's not about the experience, but I think that the wisdom which the jury bring in helping us rank some of these innovations, and to recognize the effort which the industry has taken building some of these products and solutions. So pause here for you to take a look at our eminent jury. In terms of the participation, this gives a very, very broad, bird's view of the various category of players and the innovation initiatives that various players have initiated in the last year. And we are seeing a good, healthy mix of various types of players looking at innovation across the various categories of innovation around, product innovation, process innovation, people innovation, and so on and so forth. Over the years, what we've seen is that there are certain players who have been pushing the innovation curve over the years. And when we started this process, a lot of this innovation was around something what we used to call as frugal innovation at that point in time. So innovation was used in an incremental fashion in trying to address smaller point solutions. And what we've seen over the last few years, so that innovation has now become sort of mainstream, right? That people are looking at innovation to create a fundamental difference in the way they have been sort of approaching the market. And I do believe that innovation is probably going to be one of the big differentiators as well over the next few years or so. From an Indian perspective, I mean, it's very easy to sort of duplicate innovation. Having said that, I think that players who are continuing investing in innovation are the players which will always come out in the front, because they will be a step ahead of the rest of the pack. So few players are going to look at riding innovation and making sure that that is what gives them sort of a sustainable competitive advantage over rest of the peers in the marketplace. I think that with this, probably what we're going to see from a customer perspective, right? So that innovation which are mainstreaming channels obviously will be the innovations which will have sort of the return on investment, right? There is a basic shift in behavior which is happening, where players are leveraging digitals to reach out to their customers. I think that again, digital channels is combined with the analytics tool is giving an option for financial services players to look at hyper personalization, right? So, in the sense that looking at customer segmentation in such detail which was not possible earlier, but leveraging analytics, it's possible to hyper personalize a particular product and service for that particular customer and make it meaningful for him at that particular time, at the particular location where the person is right now, for example, looking for either financial services products or general shopping as well. I think that given the focus on the compliance, but also the need to maintain high integrity and trust, I think cybersecurity is going to remain one of the thrust areas as well. And a lot of capabilities have been developed in this area in terms of real-time analytics, generating timely alerts, proactive response to the intelligence which is received from kind of practices, malpractices. And I think cybersecurity again will remain one of the focus areas as well. And then again, looking at innovations which look at end-to-end digital transformation, right? So right from customer onboarding to underwriting to servicing to actually cross-selling as well. I think that in summary, probably a few takeaways for companies who are looking to use innovation as a differentiating factor. So I think first thing is that innovation needs to be so it's not just about coming up with the next best possible product and service, but it's about continuously investing in innovation and building on the innovation platform and then taking them to large scale commercialization. I think that itself is, I think, one of the key to success. The second learning is that given the ecosystem play, all that innovation doesn't really need to be enhanced. So a lot of innovation can be leveraged using fintech partners, using third-party providers, and then mainstreaming it with the broader innovation approach could be a very quick but at the same time, you could really bring the best of the possible to solve a customer, and probably at fraction of the cost and then the fraction of the time and effort as well. The last recommendation in this is that given the focus of the regulator, I think that particularly around consumer protection and data privacy, I think the advice is to be on the right side of the right, in the sense that in the cost for additional compliances, for making sure that the customer standards are high, the customer consent is something which is factored in everything that the innovation is built on, because there could possibly be regulatory surprises at the end. So the reputation risk as well. So I think in summary, it has been a great 2020 in hindsight of building a very strong foundation, where we are seeing that necessity sort of resulted in a lot of innovation getting mainstreaming. But we're hoping that this will continue in the near future, and Finovity will continue to push the innovation agenda for industry as large. Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, hope you're having a great time. Do not miss to visit our exhibit area. Our exhibit area offers an attendee an easily accessible and immersive way to view and experience the latest innovation in the BFSI sector. Do visit our exhibition stall and benchmark the latest innovations. Thank you. Hope you are enjoying the session as interestingly as we have put it together. We are also happy to announce that the first BFSI visitor to HP, Denedo and Equity stalls who will engage with their representative will get a gift voucher. So please hurry up and claim your vouchers now.
Hi, good morning, everybody. This is Gauri Shankar. I represent the solution sales organization for HP Hewlett Packard Enterprise in India. And I focus the BFSI market specifically within the solution sales team. First of all, glad to be here in a Finovity event, which is basically a large event is going to be connected virtually this time around, and focusing on innovation in the banking space. How do we accelerate their journey towards innovation, and what are the key steps customers can look to in terms of accelerating the digital transformation journey, and what are the technologies and challenges they've been faced. Just to give a context, Bank India has been a very, I would say, historic journey over the last 20 years of time. We started with the core banking era, and we used to have a traditional banking, cluster banking, moving into a core banking era, and eventually, in a couple of years later, by 2009, the channel-led transactions, the banking transactions, these being prominent in line with the evolving telecom industry, because we moved from a normal conventional landline telephone to a GSM network, and then eventually onto a 2G, 3G, and 4G. So the network was graduating inside. The consumer ecosystem was changing. The new generations were coming up. So the banking space as well was changing from a traditional banking all the way on to delivering a self-service experiences. or reaching out to the different set of customers, not just a branch level banking, but to a larger gathering and all of that, which was the in-between journey of the last 20 years of time. And then as we move forward to today, people really look at banking system not just as a bank of savings and deposits and loans. I think bank does much more. Let us see the UPI interface developed by Government of India, and then that really giving a big boost to the entire ecosystem of people to leverage. What we see in India as well, Indian customers are somewhere between the banking 3.0 to 4.0. We are not completely digital yet. A lot of services are still getting transformed from a traditional way of getting onto a digital banking space. And certainly there are challenges, there are technology levers, and then more importantly, we had a pandemic in the last 1 year of time. But then the pandemic brought a lot of learning, a lot of new way of working, a lot of new way to deal with the business disruption, other disruptions. So we'll see how these things are evolving. We all went through an unprecedented transformation, like disruption in last 1 year of time. Nobody expected such a pandemic to disrupt all of us. And all of us know for sure we cannot go back to the world which was before March 2020. We all have to learn a new way of life, new way of dealing business, new way of working. And this is an example of doing a virtual conference as well. So that's going to be a new direction completely, and there's no going back. So with this thought process, let's see how the Indian banks and Indian ecosystem is as well moving. Some of the research, what we did, along with Gartner and HP, global see customers have 4 critical areas to focus on. The fundamental thing is the legacy modernization. When I say see, it's not the legacy way of technology alone, maybe the legacy way of operating the business, legacy way of reaching out to the people, and legacy way of also for transforming the technology, which means you are dealing with a new set of customer, new set of ecosystem, new way of conducting business through connected means, which certainly requires a different level of integration, different level of openness in terms of technology components. You cannot still live in a proprietary closed architectures where you don't really exploit your data to the larger needs, which might actually come in effective in terms of competitive positioning. So people look at ways to see how the legacies can be modernized. That's one thing. Second is adopting AI. Now, one of the main reason of AI being a very successful thing in the banking space and as well in other industry is to see how the operational efficiency can be brought in. Because from a simple savings, loans, deposit, banking, now you're getting onto a large hyperscale workloads today, and which means a significant amount of back-end processes and front-end engagements. You cannot do this simply with the rule-based engines. You need to have an AI-based technology which can actually bring in some level of operational efficiency in the back-end or in the front-end, or using technology to understand and address customer needs in the front-end as well. Robotic process automation. I think most of the banks today have the basic IVR dealing some level of bots-enabled communications, but then RPA into a complete full functional banking process itself is going to be a big area of focus. So RPA is going to be a big successful area. A lot of post, in the financial service market, the post-trade settlement, even the banking space, the settlement and clearances, or the loan processing in the back end. Insurance segment also looking RP as a big game changer for them. And then the core processes itself being digitized. I think this has been a good successful area for last quite some time. In fact, one of the largest banks and insurance market in the country does significant digitization in the processes itself. They have very less manual steps to intervene. So that's going to be another big area itself. So there's 4 initiatives around the digital space, the AI space, automation, bringing operational efficiency through RPA, and then the reducing cost and accelerating innovation through legacy modernization. This is going to be a 4 area. Cognitive banking, if I have really go towards contactless payments and digital branch completely without any manual intervention, then I need cognitive technologies to use to deliver that kind of an experience at the edge. So that's going to be another successful area. Conversational platforms are already existing to some extent. That's going to be good growth area as well. And as a service offering, definitely, from a traditional way of service to a product oriented approach to a service oriented approach requires as a service offering as well. And then the improvement areas is what you see, which is catching up very fast. AI/ML is a lot of customers in India are doing POCs and pilot use cases of AI/ML in the space of security, in the space of risk management and fraud, and that's another big growth area which is being seen actively happening. Analytics is going to be the next decade era, I would say, because we saw core banking era once, but now it's going to be analytics era because all the banks have the data assets with them, and all that need to do is only to bring that disaggregated data into a comprehensive data strategy and then use that data to create meaningful insights. So there is a shift happening. There were challenges, but the technologies are helping. The market is evolving, and there is a compelling need for all of us to look towards that transformation today. But then it requires, few larger milestones and goals and focus areas to see how do we get this journey successfully together. If you look at from what we see as an HP as well, and as well as somebody as technology working in this industry space, we see three large buckets the whole industry is shaping towards to. The first bucket being the data driven, and you can have some level of comprehensive data strategy so that you cannot have any more siloed systems and siloed approach. You need to now consolidate all of them and bring the data strategy for an organization as a policy matter. Before pandemic and post pandemic, even there's a big shift. We moved from a manned branch to a digital branch, contact payment to contactless payments, connected, I would say moderately connected to a totally connected ecosystem now, and devices and experiences and delivering services through connected means to the end user. So the edge is going to be a significant player in terms of transformation area, whether it is going to be as simple as enabling your workers to your employees to access services remotely or working remotely, or delivering services for end user. And the third is going to be cloud enabled. When I say cloud enabled, the trend has been shifted, the technologies are shifting. The customer base, what you used to operate before, is now completely new today. You have to play with a larger ecosystem. In a simple word, hyperscale of everything, hyperscale of data, hyperscale of applications, hyperscale of customer base, and you have you have surprises in the ecosystem. To innovate things, you need to have ways to innovate faster. And more importantly, you have to be open enough. The data points, the ecosystem of traditional rich banking sets have to be open enough with adequate guards to ensure that your expertise with technology can be exploited for the benefit of the business and the growth. Now, taking you one step further to how do we achieve this? Now, that's going to be a significant thing because everybody has been trying hard to see how this digital transformation can be done. Is there a way or some key things that we can keep in mind and take it as an initiative to move forward? Now, as we spoke before, the crux is not about technology. It's going to be business and technology and the people all together. And having that is how you can do innovation. You can focus less on operations, more on innovation. You can unleash the power of data, what you have, unleash the power of expertise, what you have, and and grow many folds. And then how do we redefine the whole experiences for the edge, which is your employees or the consumers, all the three. And then the agility as everything should be as a service so that I can just focus on the end delivery and not on the product itself or on the technology. So that's going to be the way it should be achieved. But to do that, you can look at some 7 initiatives. I'd like to share the 7 initiatives as an example, which can probably give you some level of direction towards how we can move forward. 1, the cloud that comes to you. What do you mean by that? We all know the cloud is basically a way of operating your IT, which provides agility, flexibility, cost, performance, and scale as you need. But then we are in a banking ecosystem. One of the significant concern is what security. The second big thing was in terms of how do you balance the cost part of it and compliance part of it. There are different buckets of transformation journey, and every bucket have to be qualified on various parameters: performance, cost, scale, compliance, and then choose what sort of technology, what sort of right mix will help me. Now, a new world requires the legacy to be modernized as well. You can't let go of the legacy and then run on the new world, because that's going to be that's your foundation. How do I get this both the world together and still sail through it? That's going to be another big focus area in terms of cloud that comes to you. So the second is innovation and insights on demand. That's focused primarily towards comprehensive data strategy. So how do you create a comprehensive data strategy where you be able to access all assets of data available in a single pane of glass, and then leverage that for various use cases? We used to know the data warehousing ecosystem, but now it's data lake concept. So data lake is going to be a big player in terms of creating that ecosystem of data and comprehensive data strategy from edge to core to cloud. What do you mean by intelligent data platform? Every organization have multiple workloads. They got workload which requires your online processing transactions. There are workloads which requires a long-term archival as per the regulatory needs. There are workloads which requires, you use it, you try it, and then you purge it, like something like a developer ecosystem. That ability for you to know in terms of the data locality where it has to reside, and then getting insights from those aspects, and then accordingly see how seamlessly you can actually move the data between different tiers. Because this is something which we saw enormous work can be done to simplify the data landscape of an organization and reduce cost there, because huge investments have gone in the space for over 20 years of time, having different data sets, all that. How do we create an intelligent data platform, which is essential for us to first to cut down cost, rightly place the workloads at right tier, and then manage in a way where it can be meaningful for the business. Simplifying and unlock agility, for example, HCI. Now, many new workloads are no more on a proprietary infrastructure. People are moving out of proprietary infrastructure primarily for the reason of being open, ability for them to innovate, reduce cost, having no vendor lock-in approach. These kind of things are going to be significant play. So your agility comes if you're more open. Agility doesn't come from a proprietary ecosystem or a closed guard approach, a protectionist way. It's going to be more by being open. And the next one being hybrid workplace. This is going to be the reality in henceforth. And you need to have the strategy as an organization to have a hybrid workplace strategy. I represent HP. In HP, we already been identified, like people who work at office, work out of home, work out of mobile, basis the business needs. And so as many other companies in the banks and insurance people are doing it actively. And so hybrid workplace is going to be a significant area. So the strategy to have, or a policy to have a hybrid workplace strategy is very important. That's a thing. And then having all this thing accelerate the data-driven transformation for the whole ecosystem. And then refine the business of the edge, which I mentioned about bringing connected ecosystem, leveraging new technologies for your edge connectivity, reaching out your last mile in a better way. How do I get the data at the edge, service the data at the edge itself? So the 7 pillars, starting from cloud to data-driven to an intelligent data platform or a common data fabric framework, simplifying your technology space with an ecosystem which can bring you out of a proprietary or a protectionist way of traditional thing to an openness in terms of architecture, technology, and interfacing your rich assets with an ecosystem for your own benefits, and hybrid workplace strategy in terms of remote working and VDI, and then accelerating the whole transformation journey with security in mind and connectivity in place. So with that, with the 7 pillars being one of the key drivers, we believe the organization can actually leapfrog into the innovation journey. To give a short summary about how we as an HPE, being in the technology space for more than 8 decades now, And in the banking space in India, we've been one of the pioneers in the core banking space. Our offering something like Green Lake, which actually brings an as a service offering or as a service workload ready deployments for customers who want to leapfrog into into an as a service way of deploying IT. The container platform strategy, which we recently had by few acquisitions, and also by leveraging Kubernetes as a backbone. So HP Esmeralda is a container platform which actually comes with capability for customers who would like to take both the worlds, traditional cloud, like your traditional world versus cloud native world, both the ecosystem can get together and then modernize the journey. The HP Esmeralda plays a significant role there in terms of giving this ability for you to take both the workloads and then modernize and then move forward. And the edge modernization with Aruba, and then the traditional data center compute and storage, which is with software enabled capabilities to give that like openness and innovation with a very limited vendor lock-in in that way. And with that technology and the entire readiness of an organization from point next perspective for run, operate, build a multi-cloud ecosystem with partnership, and the significant expertise and IP has been done over there. And then financial service, HPF has been a very significant player in the market for quite some time, delivering financial service for organizations who want to go for an IT journey, and with an FS partnership. So with this capability, HP today is geared up today for three things which we saw initially in terms of delivering edge-centric solutions, delivering the data-driven organization with the Esmeralda IPs and portfolio around that, and then the Green Lake umbrella, under the Green Lake umbrella, delivering the cloud as a service experience for all the initiatives an organization might undergo. Now, I can show you some cases, case studies globally, and some in India as well. Customers like Korean Financial Group, there's a large financial group in Korea. They had a significant challenge having legacy applications and the new cloud native applications, and they were confined to one particular technology in terms of the hypervisor strategy, the cloud strategy, very limited software-defined capability in the IT provisioning perspective, and they would want to bring some of the front-end services to public cloud. So what we did was, we did the right mix advisory study for customer and identified the work which can run across different worlds, basis their cost, performance, compliance aspects, and then the hybrid journey was completely evolved for the customer. And that strategy has been taken into the organization level. They did a modernization of processes, regrouped the IT ecosystem in a new way of operating. That's been a very successful case study in Korean Financial Group. And another one is a tier 1 bank in US. This bank have a very good strategy towards AWS, Amazon AWS cloud versus on-prem strategy, where they have this multiple data centers running across different sites, and it's managed seamlessly again through cloud migration journey in the bank as well. In another space in the capital market, the whole bank in US, they have done something called as a workstation. This is not directly applicable for banking market, but from a capital market perspective, this has been a good hybrid workplace strategy where the entire trade ecosystem works out of remote environment with the same experience what they might get in the branch or in the stock markets, where you sit across multiple screens and see data. In India as well, we see large public sector bank undergoing cloud development work, and they went to log analytics, the significant log analytics, data analytics workload as well a year ago, and now they're actively working on a cloud native development and testing their critical applications, which are not typically a monolithic application, which can be modernized for a new journey. That's been an active work happening in the Indian bank as well. Globally, customers are experiencing different use cases and different pilots and POCs of their projects, and it's been fairly successful, and it's accelerating significantly. In fact, one of the example I missed, the Government Bank of Thailand, they do core banking as a service. So they brought that agility for the core banking itself without going onto cloud, which means the cloud as a service or the cloud that comes to you has been applied for them, where they can bring that agility for a traditional heavy lift core banking application as well as a service in an on-prem. So that's the way people look at. in different angles. They try to adopt these technologies, these initiatives, and that shift has been very significant. And India as well, we see a lot of such growth areas. So I'm sure, as I shared in the past, about 7 initiatives. I'm sure that will help you in terms of transforming your journey and accelerating your IT innovation part as well. So with that, I thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I'm happy to answer any questions in this session as well. Thank you.